I've argued against any more oil drilling or gas drilling on federal lands, that we can and to stop that. I strongly support no more fossil fuel drilling, period, on public lands, and particularly offshore, period. None. No more permits. And by the way, no more drilling on federal lands, period. Period. I said I would not do any new leases on federal land. 90% of the leases are not on federal land. Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends. Number one.
On the campaign trail, President Biden repeatedly promised there would be no new fossil fuel drilling on federal land. This week, the administration approved the Willow Oil Project, a new development by ConocoPhillips near the Arctic Ocean on the North Slope of Alaska. The decision came after a fierce lobbying campaign by both fossil fuel interests and the entire Alaska congressional delegation, including freshman Democratic Congresswoman Mary Peltola. It's one of the largest oil developments on federal land and has been described by climate activists as a carbon bomb. Vice President Kamala Harris was asked about it by Stephen Colbert this week.
How do you square that with the president having said that there will be no new drilling licenses issued on public land and then approving the Willow Oil Project in Alaska? People are saying that's breaking a campaign promise. What's the calculus there?
Well, I understand the concerns that have been made, but here's the thing. When you look at what our administration has done, it's historic in terms of an investment in a clean energy economy.
Was there any discussion in the White House about what the blowback would be for approving the Willow Oil Project? Because people have gotten quite upset about it. I think there's some protesters outside right now.
Well, I think that the concerns are based on what we should all be concerned about. But the solutions have to be and include what we are doing in terms of going forward, in terms of investments.
I should say the vice president does have a point there. When you look at the ledger, this administration up until now has been the best climate administration we've ever had. That may be a low bar, but it's true. There have been executive orders like the one on zero-emission federal vehicles, and more importantly, legislation like the Inflation Reduction Act, as well as a bipartisan infrastructure bill, both with massive investments to fight climate change and get to net zero. But does this decision change that balance at all? What does it mean for the future? David Roberts is the author of the newsletter Volts and has been writing about clean energy and politics for over 15 years. He joins me now. David, first, let's just start with the Willow Project. The Willow Project and what it means. I should note for folks, there was a huge controversy years ago about the wildlife refuge in Alaska. This is not that. In fact, this is the National Petroleum Reserve, which is actually land that's been demarcated for oil drilling. But how significant is this new permit?
Well, I think one thing to say is it's impossible to say yet, because how big of an impact it has, how much it produces, ends up having a lot to do with market conditions. And, predicting oil market conditions 5-10 years out is notoriously difficult, especially in a moment of extreme political and social and technological volatility around these things. So, you can find bullish forecasts on clean energy that will tell you that oil demand by the time Willow starts producing will be too low to make Willow economic. So I mean, I think that's probably an edge case, but there's at least a possibility that we won't start pumping oil out of it at all.
That's an interesting point.
All which is to say, it could be very big, it could be very small, and it's very difficult to say.
Well, on that point, so you and I have covered climate policy for 15 years, and there's been this huge shift, right? So the idea in the beginning was you got to put a price on carbon, you got to raise the cost of fossil fuel extraction because to make it competitive with clean alternatives. Then there was a real focus on making sure you don't build out any new fossil fuel infrastructure, new drilling, new pipelines. The shift in Democratic policy consensus is forget about all that. Don't worry about that. If you make clean energy cheap enough, that stuff will just become uneconomic and go away. Is that, do you agree that's sort of the policy mind right now? And is that plausible, or are we lying to ourselves?
Yeah, that's yeah. It's I don't know how much of that is a policy plan and how much of that is a political
Totally.
a political shot. You know, it seems that's where the political balance of power lies now. There's a ton of forces arraying around supporting good things, right? Spending a lot of money. That's how IRA squeaked through a 50-50 Senate. Was there's opinion, even in elite circles, around industrial policy and spending a lot of money on industries we want more of is a strong political consensus now, and you can get that through. And as this Willow decision shows, the supply side is a lot more controversial. There's almost the only organized force against it is activists. Everybody else around Biden is telling him to say yes to these supply projects, and to justify themselves, they're saying the only way to solve this problem is through demand. Shutting down supply projects makes no difference. You know, but that's some of that is ad hoc. Some of that is just because the politics of stopping supply remain extremely difficult.
But you said to me, we were going back and forth on this. I mean, you basically said, look, 20, 30 years from now, the Inflation Reduction Act climate investments are going to matter so much more than this Willow project. That when you look at the ledger, and that people aren't maybe grasping the sheer scope of what's coming now thanks to the IRA.
Yes, I mean, personally, I'm extraordinarily bullish and think demand for oil will drop substantially by the time Willow comes online, and we won't end up seeing much Willow oil at all. You know, my guess is as good as anybody else's, but that's my personal feeling, because there's so much going on in this space right now. There's so much money flooding in, and people don't realize that the Inflation Reduction Act, the sort of headline price tag was $369 billion for clean energy, but that's just an estimation of how much these tax credits will be taken up, exploited, and other analysts sharply disagree and think there will be much more demand and much more activity. And some estimates range up to us spending around $900 billion on this. So there's a tidal wave of money coming behind clean energy in the U.S. And this is what I think is even more important. The political calculus is going to change, because part of the Inflation Reduction Act is onshoring these supply chains. So you're going to get EV factories and battery factories and mineral processing plants, especially in like the Southeast and the Midwest. And so the investment in the transition away from oil is going to spread a lot. There's going to be a lot of new constituencies, and that will change the politics of the next supply decision.
This is a wonky point. We only have a minute left, but I want to just really make sure people understood this. That $370 billion, right? It's not like we're appropriating that over 10 years. We created a bunch of new tax credits, which incentivize all kinds of clean energy production. We estimate that's how many people are going to use them in the total of that. But if twice as many people use them, it'll be twice that amount of money. If 3 times as many people use them, it'll be 3 times.
There's no cap on them, so that's true to infinity and beyond. Like, however much demand ends up being for them, that's how much we'll spend. And if the estimates of how much demand there will be, there's a big range, and on the high end, it is around $900 billion or $1 trillion, and that's entirely within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, David Roberts writes the Volts newsletter, which is, you guys should check out. Go Google it right now. It's one of my go-tos on all things climate related. It's always great to have you on, David. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.